came back to the original wolf pack that he was like conning into thinking that he was, and the new alpha had taken over. And the new alpha was threatening him, and so he had a whimper, and he was like really in danger of being torn apart by a wolf, and on camera. He's inches away from this wolf, and it's baring its teeth, like, and you know, I mean, he's with real wolves, right? And so this guy's like curled up in a fetal position and whimpering and putting his paw out like this, and this fucking wolf is baring its teeth just inches from him. Huge wolf, 150-pound wolf, like inches from him, just ready to tear him to shreds. Because they kill each other all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where was this? In the U.S.?
No, it wasn't in the U.S. I don't remember where it was, but it was really weird. Like, this guy's life was so strange because he was for a long period of time when he was, like, running this research, was living with wolves. So he's with them. You know, he's a part of the pack.
Was he, I got to ask you this, and don't answer it if it's uncomfortable, but in my field, working with specialized experts a lot, like him, obviously that's a whole nother level, they start to take on characteristics of these animals, I've noticed. So like I worked with a guy who was a bear expert, right? And he spent his whole life with bears. And this man was basically a bear. Do you know what I mean? He was grumpy, he was cranky, he was big, he was hairy. Like every part of him seemed like a human bear. I'm wondering if this guy was like that. Did it seem to you like he had started to like kind of lose touch with social norms and he was starting to take on traits of a wolf?
That's a good question. It's hard to tell. Is this it? Yeah, this is the guy. So this guy, is this the guy?
This is a documentary from 2007-8 called The Wolf Man.
Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. So they're like, Jesus, the way they threaten each other, you know, I mean, so he would have a kill and he would drag it over and he would eat the liver in front of them. And so by doing that, he would trick them into thinking he was the shit. See, he's got the liver.
Yeah, tell me that guy doesn't express wolf characteristics.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at his body language and everything. I know he's doing that intentionally for the animal, but to me, that guy looks like he thinks he's a wolf. Look at that. I mean, that's insane.
How are the cameramen able to get this close and they're safe too?
Very good question. Yeah, look at this guy. This guy's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, that's something
like, bro,
else.
You're made out of Jello. You are literally a water balloon filled with Jello, and you're hanging around these super predators.
It's nuts.
I love wolves. They're one of my favorite animals on the planet. I just think they're so fascinating. And now that they've been reintroduced into the West, you know, I know. Look at that. Like, it's growling. The thing's kissing him to show that it's submissive. So he's eating the liver in front of it.
Have you ever been to the wolf sanctuary out here in Palmdale?
No, I heard it's awesome. No.
If you ever want to go, let me know.
I would love to.
It's incredible. It's you know, they don't do it for like the general public, but they rescue wolves and wolf dogs and rehabilitate them. And a lot of times they've been in fights and they've, you know, come out of terrible places. And they've got a few animals that they're very closely related to full blood wild wolves. And you can go in and interact with them. You're not petting them. It's not a puppy. You know what I mean? They don't behave like a dog. But you can go in and have one come up and approach you and sniff you. And it's a pretty fantastic experience. It really is.
I'd like to go. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
I'll set it up.
Yeah. Not doing what that asshole's doing. Eating a liver in front
you can do
of
that. I'll be behind the camera.
What I was saying is that, you know, since they've reintroduced them into the West, there's been a lot of controversy behind that, and there's talks about doing that in Colorado, and people are really freaking out. Like, ranchers are freaking out. They're like, hey, there's a reason why everybody killed these things off. Right. Like, don't fucking bring them back, because, you know, there was another surplus killing that they found, I think in Wyoming, where they just wiped out a bunch. Like, they'll just go ham and kill, like, you know, 14, 15 elk cows just because they can.
It's
and they don't eat them.
There's a term for that. It's hen house syndrome. Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's basically like when a fox gets into the hen house, they get in this like killing frenzy state where it's not like they're going to eat 30 different chickens, but they're going to kill everyone because they're in this state. Right. And I don't know that's necessarily the case for that, but it is scary to think of an apex predator like a wolf getting into that hen house type syndrome, killing 30 elk just because they can.
Yeah.
But you know what's really interesting, Joe, is if you look, as I've done a little bit of reading on this, if you look at how many instances of wolf fatalities there are in North America.
For humans?
Humans, it's like 2 or 3. It's some very, very low number.
Yeah, there was one in Alaska, like a couple of years back. There was a woman, I think she was a jogger. And there's one other one. Yeah.
And that's kind of it, that's documented.
However, I have a friend who actually shot an elk in BC, in British Columbia, and they didn't know it, but the elk expired right next to a wolf den.
Oh, what?
And the wolves tried to claim the elk.
They came out and stood over it?
He and the guy that he was with had their back to a tree, and they shot and killed 3 attacking wolves. Wow. And he killed 2 of them with a bow and arrow. Jesus. And the other guy killed 1 with a rifle. And they were almost out of bullets, and he had 1 arrow left. And they're surrounded by wolves. But they had killed enough. So, wolves, they do this... They do a roll call. They howl, and they see who responds, and they realized that they had lost 3. And so they bailed, and they took off out of the area. But they were in the den. He said there was bones in there. Jeez. And then they realized that they just were hunting, and they shot an elk, and it just happened to be right where the wolves had a den. I have one of the skulls at home on my desk.
Of the wolves?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
The story's nuts when John tells the story.
Is that John Dudley?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. There's a video of it. You can watch it on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
When he's telling the story, he's like, you could see him going back to the moment. It's fucking crazy.
That sounds like a scene out of The Grey.
Yes.
They're in the den and
he
back
was
to back.
In the den. Yeah.
Look, I spend my life working with animals that are considered dangerous, and there's wolves, bears, there's a handful of others. You just don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't intentional, but it's just a no-win situation.
We had Glenn Villeneuve from that show Life Below Zero.
Oh, yeah, I know the show.
Yeah, and he was on the podcast recently, and he was talking about the time that he got chased by wolves.
Okay.
And this was also on camera. He's got video footage of this and photographic footage of this, where he's living in this little tiny shack that's right next to a lake, and these wolves had killed a moose, and they were in the middle of this frozen lake. There was 20 of them. It was a huge wolf pack.
That's
enormous.
That is an enormous wolf pack.
Yeah, he's got all the photos of this all on his Facebook page. See if you can pull that up. Pull up Glenn Villeneuve.
20 wolves in a pack?
It's
John
amazing.
Dudley's picture.
There's John Dudley with one of the wolves that he killed that was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Steal his elk. They were running at him. They were running at him full clip. He shot 2 wolves that were running at him.
Wow.
He said they were charging at him full clip, and he's at full draw, and it's whap, and he kills one, and then another one comes running down. Bang! They kill that one. He only carries a 4-arrow quiver.
Right.
So he had 1 arrow that he killed the elk, 2 arrows that he killed wolves,
1 left.
1 arrow left, and he's got his back to a tree. And the guy he's with had 3 bullets.
Jeez. No sidearm, nothing.
Nothing. They were just elk hunting.
Right.
They're like, fuck.
Jeez.
Yeah, so see this Glenn Villeneuve picture. So he's got a series of amazing photographs that he took from his shack.